Sorry about that. I think I may have been muted there for a little bit. Thank you guys for, thank you Cosimo for letting me know in the Q&A box. Hi, Evan. Hi, April. Hi, Eric. Hi, Kayla. Hi, Amelia. Hi, Sean. Hi, everybody. Thank you, everybody, for letting me know. Can you guys hear me now? Let me know if you can hear me now. I think we just had a setting turned off. All right, good. Everybody can hear me now. Sorry about that. Okay, let me start over. I was gonna let you know that last week in Real Life Skills, Adam talked about table manners and how to basically have really good manners with when you're eating with your family or friends or even with the Queen of England, how you can have really good communication, really good manners with other people. Today, we're gonna do a little bit of a different topic, a different kind of real life skill. We're going to talk about money. We're going to talk about personal finance and what all of you can do to start managing your money, hopefully make some money, and then what to do with it once you have it. As always, if you have questions, you can ask them in the Q&A box. If any of the topics that we talk about make you think and go, oh yeah, I've always wondered, feel free to ask that and we'll try to take that up. So great. Thank you guys for all letting me know that you can hear me now. Hi, everyone that's here. We have a big class today. This is awesome. And I always love it when people tell me they're like, hi from Pakistan or hi from Canada when you guys check in from around the world. It's so great. Okay, cool. So let's get into it. All right, real life skills, personal finance. Today, we're going to talk about that term, personal finance. Personal means having to do with you, and finance means having to do with money. So personal finance is the subject of what you do with your money. All right, first section, earning money. So we can't really talk about what to do with money or how you should manage your money until we talk about getting money in the first place. And for young people, there's usually two ways that you can get money. You can work for it or do something to basically earn the money, or you can get an allowance from your parents. And both of these are fine. You know, different families have different ways of sort of managing the money of young people. But I thought we could start off by talking about this money a little bit. And also the terms that different families use. Some families, they call it allowance, and you do have to kind of work for your allowance. In some families, the kids in the family just get some allowance and you don't really have to do anything for it. It's just sort of like a steady, you get some money for, you know, your personal needs. And again, both these systems are fine. But I thought we could talk about a little bit of how you can kind of be in control of making more money for yourself as a young person. So let's say you don't have any money. How do you get some? Well, there are different possible sources, but the first one as a young person is usually your parents. You can talk to your parents about ways that you can start making some money if you don't already have something in place. And many of you might already have something in place, some agreement worked out. But some of the traditional ones are you can offer to do some kind of work or chores or something for your parent in exchange for them paying you some money. How much money? What kind of chores? What kind of jobs? Well, just like an adult, when you have a job and you kind of negotiate, that word means that you kind of talk with the person that you're working for and you work out what your job duties are going to be, how much money you'll get paid for doing them. Usually when you start a new job, this is something that you have to do with your employer. You have to kind of work these things out. Well, as a young person, you can start doing that right now. You can talk to your parents and figure out, you can just let them know, hey, I'd like to start making some money. Maybe these are some jobs that I think I could do around the house in exchange for this amount of money. I'll be honest, your parents, if you don't already have something worked out, If you come up with a plan on your own and you propose it to your parents, they'll probably be impressed that you did that. Instead of just going to your parents and saying, I want to get this thing, can you give me some money? If you come to them and you make a plan, hey, maybe make a board or a poster, and you're like, this is what I want to do. This is how much money it's going to cost. This is my plan for making it happen. I know as a parent of 2 small children, if my daughter came to me and with a plan like that, I'd probably say yes, whatever the plan was, just because I would be so happy with her taking responsibility and kind of having a plan like that. Also, coming up with a plan yourself, you probably have a better chance of doing something that you're going to want to do. And here's what I mean by that. If you go to your parents and say, I want to make some money, what should I do? They might say, you can, clean the bathroom, or, they might pick something that might not be your favorite job or your favorite chore to do. If you come to them with the proposal, you might be able to pick out something that maybe the garage needs to be cleaned out, or maybe there's some jobs around the house that you like to do. And you could pick those and propose them to your parents. You could say, hey, I noticed the garage is kind of messy. I'd like to clean it out. And in exchange, I'd like to be paid. You can kind of pick out the amount of money. How much money should you ask for? That's a great question. That's probably something that you'll have to talk with your own family about to find out what is an appropriate amount, how much they're willing to pay. If you kind of have something in mind, like if there's a purchase you're trying to make, or if there's something that you want to work up to being able to buy, maybe you can kind of think with that in mind. That can be sort of part of your proposal to your parents. If, for example, there's a bike that you really want to buy, find out how much it costs, break it down. Maybe if there's a bike that, it's been a long time since I bought a bike. I don't know how much a bike costs these days. But let's say there was a bike that you could buy for say $200, and you want to work out a plan. You're like, I don't want this to take the rest of the year. Maybe I could work out a plan with my parents to do some jobs for them every week for 10 weeks and ask that they pay me $20 a week towards this purchase. Breaking it down that way, if your parents thought some amount of allowance maybe seems too high or something, they might be more willing to make that arrangement with you if they know that it's towards a goal. If you say, hey, this is the bike that I want to buy, it's going to be, come up with good reasons for it too. This bike will help me get more exercise. I researched online and this is a really highly rated bike. It's going to last me years. You can kind of get all the information you need to propose something to your parents that they'll go, this is a great idea. Yeah, this bike looks awesome. Oh, there's a basket on the front. You can go to the store and get groceries for us with this bike. I don't know, maybe. Anyway, coming to your parents with a proposal, a completed plan with all the good ideas of why it's a good plan. If you make a chart, you put words on it, you put drawings, you give all the information. I can tell you as a parent, we love stuff like that. We love you guys taking charge and taking responsibility for things. And it's much more likely to work than to just say, hey, give me some money. I'm gonna check the Q&A box really quick. Gerard, we're talking about personal finance today and money. This is the real life skill that we're going to cover. Rayansh is asking about taking out loans. We're actually going to talk about borrowing money a little bit later. We'll get into that. Okay, cool. If you guys have any questions on this part, let me know. But yeah, so you can work out a plan to do some work for some money. You can work out doing chores around the house for an allowance. But again, my main advice to you is I think you should figure out what you want to do if you don't already have a plan in place with your family, and you should go to your parents and propose it. I think it's better than just asking them to figure out what you should do, because you might not like what they come up with quite as much. The second main area that you can earn money is by finding things that instead of just for your own family, that you could possibly do for people in your community, friends, maybe extended family, maybe for your neighborhood. Sometimes it takes a little bit of research or a little bit of planning, but there's a lot of classic ways to do this. One way that some of you may have done is like you can do something like a lemonade stand. You buy the supplies to make something that other people can like eat or drink, and you sell it out on the sidewalk. You know, you sell it to people passing by. Sometimes you have to do a little bit of research to find out what the rules are in your area. And that's something that you can usually look up by, you can Google it, you can research it online. Your parents might be able to help you with that. But most areas of the United States, at least, are usually okay with young people doing, selling food, selling drinks like that, without having to, here's what I mean. Like grown-ups, if I was gonna start like a food cart and I wanted to sell food or drinks, there's like a lot of rules about that. And, you know, they're good rules. The government wants to make sure that the stuff that you're selling is high quality food and drinks. That's not going to make anybody sick. They want to make sure that the place that you're cooking it is clean and not dirty, and it's not going to, you know, put germs and stuff. But for young people, they're usually willing to, you know, trust you and your family on that. They're usually willing to, if you want to make a lemonade stand out on your sidewalk, you don't usually, as a young person, have to go through the same steps an adult would. Now, again, you have to do your own research on this for where you live. The rules in your area might be different than the rules where I live or where somebody else lives. So if you're interested, you can actually make, you know, a good amount of money by doing a lemonade stand or baking cookies and selling them. You just have to take the time to actually find out, is that okay in your area? What are the rules for that? Taryn, I hope I'm saying that right, says, I think you need government insurance to do a lemonade stand. In some areas you might. I think where I live, I don't know that you do have to have any sort of official approval. But when my daughter's a little bit older, if she wanted to do a lemonade stand, you know, out like on a public street, I would definitely research it first and make sure that it was okay. I know that in some areas, you do have to kind of get like a permit, which is like an official approval, but it's really easy for young people. It's really easy to get that usually, because I think most communities like it when young people, such as yourselves, they like you guys starting your own little businesses. They want you to, you know, go out there and try to make some money and start learning about how to make money as adults. So do your research, find out, but then you could try that out. It's actually a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun to run your own little business and sell something like lemonade or sell cookies. The people in your neighborhood or community like it. They like seeing you guys out there working, doing that kind of stuff. Your parents will probably support you. So look into it. Then there's lots of other things that you can do to make money that you definitely don't need usually a permit or anything. What you want to do is you want to look for, what do people need that you could probably supply? For example, if your family has like a lawnmower and you see that a lot of your neighbors are letting their grass get really high, you go, they need their lawns cut. We have a lawnmower. I might be able to fill the need that they have. So you could go around, you could make up a flyer, you could talk to your neighbors, you could, you know, figure out what a good price is with your own family. You could go around and say, hey, I'll mow lawns for money. If there's something that you're good at doing, like an art, or you're good at making a certain type of craft project, you could make that and you could sell it to people. It's a little bit more complicated to do that online than to do it in person, but you can make a little stand and try to sell something. There are infinite ways to try to make some money. But before you can do anything else with your money, that's the first step. You have to find ways to start making money. So you can make more, you can bring in more money than whatever you're going to spend it on. So that's step one. One of our viewers is asking, this comes up occasionally, can I see you? No. In this type of webinar, the video that we're making here is going out to all of you to watch, but I cannot see your faces or anything. I can only see the messages that you type in the Q&A box. So if you have a question, type it into that box and I'll be able to read it on my screen, but I can't hear you or see you. So if you ask anything, this is not the type of meeting where I can see you. So hope that helps. Okay, cool. Let's move on to our next step here. So once you are, starting to think about making some money, the next thing to think about is, what are your goals? For a lot of young people, there's probably things that you want to buy. Here's a few examples. Maybe a video game system, maybe a bike, maybe your own, phone, maybe new clothes. The options are endless, but there might be things that you would like to buy that your parents aren't planning to get you. Your parents do supply a lot of these things, but there might be something different that you want. There might be you want more clothes, or you want a pair of really cool shoes that costs a little bit more. Maybe you already have a video game system and you want a new game, but your parents don't want to buy a new game right now. When you start making your own money, you kind of get in control of what you can spend it on. But it's really good to think about, what are your goals? What do you want money for? And this step isn't just about buying a bunch of stuff, because your goals can be longer term also. Even though I know a lot of our viewers are, it might seem that like college is like a long ways away. There are young people, even your age, that are starting to save for college, or they're starting to save up for bigger items that cost a lot more money. Let's say you're 10 years old right now. Well, in most of the United States, at least in Oregon, you can start learning to drive a car, I believe, when you're 15. And then if you get your driver's license, you can drive your own car at 16 once you pass your driver's test. But cars are expensive. So even if you're young right now, you might want to start saving up for some of these purchases that cost a lot more money. You could right now start saving up money to buy your own car when you get older. Big items that cost a lot, you can save up for them over a long period of time. Maybe if your parents are planning to help you with some of these purchases in the future, if you save up money, you might be able to buy something more than what they had planned to spend. Sometimes young people work out a deal with their parents that they'll go like 50-50. That means whatever car they want to buy, the parents will pay for half and you'll pay for half. So if you are able to save up a lot of money, the amount of money that your parents pitch in is a lot higher. Not every family does that, but I've heard of some families doing that. So it's really valuable to think about right now. You can make a list of, what are my goals for my money? What are the things that I would like to spend money on now and into the future? Once you know what you actually want your money for and give it some real thought, you can start making good plans for your money. Thanks, Hadia. Hadia said, that is so true. I appreciate that. Thanks. Saving money. So once you know what your goals are, you can actually start saving your money to work toward them. And there's multiple ways to do this. Some people, they just have like a piggy bank or a jar at home. And as they do jobs and they get cash, or as they, get a little bit of money here and there, they just put it in a jar. They hold on to it. You can also save your money at an actual bank or credit union. Credit unions are similar to banks. But let's say maybe a family member or like a grandparent, gives you a big chunk of money for your birthday or something. Let's say they send you a check in the mail. You probably want to put that in the bank so you can save it up. you don't want to put, like if they write you like a paper check, like grandparents often do, you don't just want to put that in a jar. You actually have to, cash that check. You have to put that money somewhere. So again, the first step though is actually having some goals for your money. Because let's say you do some jobs for your family members and they pay you some money, then our first urge is usually just to spend it. And that's kind of common for young people, and that's even, for adults. If you get paid a chunk of money, there's so many cool things that you can spend it on. And if you don't have any plan for your money, you might just spend it all right away. However, if you have a goal, if you actually have a future purpose for that money, it's a lot easier to have the discipline to save it, to hold on to it. So to take an example from earlier, let's say that you plan out, I want to buy this bike and this bike is expensive. You can set that goal and then you can actually say, maybe I want to buy it by this date. You can then do the math and figure out how much money do I need to save per week? How much money do I need to make? And how much do I need to save? Because once you start making money, you might want to spend a little bit of it and save part of it. And that's totally okay. Maybe that bike that's going to cost a few $100s. Maybe you start working really hard, doing a lot of jobs for your parents. You're doing a lot of jobs in your community. You're mowing lawns, you're selling things, you're making cookies, etc. Maybe you do way better than you expected and you're making $50 a week instead of the $20. Well, you could either save up all the money you need a lot faster, or you could say, okay, I'm going to save $30 a week or $40 a week, and then I'm going to let myself spend the rest of it on whatever I want. But if you don't make firm rules for yourself about saving money, you'll find that money just kind of just disappearing. Spending money is like the easiest thing in the world. That's pretty awesome. April is saying that in her family, they have sort of a system where when they do chores, they get basically kind of like, she says fake money, or kind of like tickets where they get kind of this pretend money that then they can spend on things. That's awesome. That's like, it sounds like you guys have a good system going there, April. Arnov asks, is that a background or is that my real house? No, this is actually, I think this is in Disneyland, but this is last week for our real life skills class. We were talking all about table manners. So we thought that this room is like really nice here. Sorry, I went the wrong way. So we're talking about table manners, but since it's a really cool room and it's at Disneyland, I thought it was applicable to money and saving money too. Going to Disneyland isn't cheap. So a family trip to Disneyland is something that you'd probably have to save for as well. Great. So when you're saving up your money and you're kind of thinking with your goals and you're making a plan, that brings us to our next subject, which is making a budget. And a budget is basically that's another word for the plan for your money. Here you can see this is like a grown-up's budget, but they're writing down how much does the rent for their house or apartment cost? How much do they spend on bills? How much are they spending on food? How much do they spend on travel or taxes or anything else? They're making a plan for their money. They're looking at what are they going to spend their money on? How much do they actually spend per week or per month? They're figuring it out. They're actually writing it down. Now, even though as young people, you probably don't have a lot of bills or expenses right now, it's a good habit to get into, because when you grow up and you start managing, getting a job and managing your money and having to spend money on things, it can be kind of overwhelming to suddenly take all those responsibilities on if you don't have any practice. You can start practicing right now by, let's say you start making money, you figure out what your goals for the money are, and you start saving up the money, well, you can write down a budget for yourself. Let's say you're trying to make $20 a week and you want to save up for a big purchase that you're planning to make. It's okay to budget yourself. Like, I'm going to spend $5 a week on snacks or candy or whatever, whatever you want to, a little bit of pocket money that you actually want to spend on things. And making that budget, even if, let's say you only have like 2 items in your budget might just be a little bit of spending money and my savings. Even making that plan and actually writing it down will help you stick to the plan and help you have discipline to do it. If you don't have a firm rule in place that's like written down, then you might find yourself spending $10 of your 20 on chips and snacks and candy and whatever, or maybe more. Having that firm rule in place, like, no, I'm going to save most of my money because I really want to buy that new PlayStation when it comes out. Or I'm going to save most of my money because I really want to buy a dirt bike. In the future, you will thank your past self for having a plan and saving up that money. In the future, when you're able to buy that bigger thing that you wanted, you'll be happy that you didn't spend all that money on candy that's now gone. And you'll be happy that you actually have something that you can, continue to have fun with, and something that lasts. Those bigger items, you can get a lot more enjoyment out of them than the little things that kind of just disappear as soon as you buy them. Seeing if there's any questions after that. Matthew has a great question. Matthew says, my parents always talk about investing money and letting it grow. What would you recommend where we as kids should invest our money? I won't make any investment tips here. I won't tell you where you should invest your money. But I will tell you that learning about investing is an important topic. For anybody who hasn't heard about investing money, that's kind of a whole topic in itself. But what it means basically is that you can use your money to buy parts of real life companies, and that's called stock. Buying parts of companies, giving your money and getting a little bit of the company back is called investing. And what you're doing is big companies that you've heard of, like, Apple or Amazon or Disney or 100 or 1,000 other companies, they sell little parts of the company and adults can buy it, or young people with, the help of your parents, you can buy these little bits of a company. So then when that company makes money, often you get a little bit of it because you're one of the owners of the company. Also, the value of that company, like how much that company is worth, they often go up over time. So if you buy a little bit of a company now, in 5 years or 10 years, the company might be worth a lot more, and then you can sell your little bit of the company and make money. So if you're interested in this topic, you can talk to your parents about that, and that could be one of the things you use your money for. As young people, you don't have a lot of bills or other expenses. So if you were making $50 a week by doing chores and selling things, you could put all of that money into investing if you wanted to, or as part of your budget, you could put a chunk of it in. A lot of people, their parents might have like a college, like they might invest money for you to go to college in the future, or you might invest money just so that you have some money sitting there waiting for you when you're older. So this topic overall is a bit more complicated than we have time for today, but it is a very interesting topic that I would highly recommend you research further or talk to your parents about if you're interested in learning about it. Jackson says you can make money off of YouTube. Yeah, that's one way that you can make money. You make videos that people really like and that they like watching, and you can put advertisements in front of it, and then those companies pay you to have their advertisements there. Yes, Rayansh says, like stocks, and says that they have earned some money from their stocks. That's awesome. So you're already investing. That's great. Yes, Matthew. I believe, as a young person, asking if you can invest at your age, it depends, I think, on where you live. I think it's technically your parents that are investing the money for you. And there's multiple ways you could do that. You could just ask your parents to basically set up investing in a way that they kind of have an investment account that they control, but it's agreed that it's for you. Or some places might let you set up your own, but you definitely have to research it for where you live. All right, awesome. So next topic, impulse buys. An impulse is like a sudden feeling you get to do something. And when it comes to money, it's important that you try to resist these. And there's a saying called delay a day. Let's say you want to save up your money to buy something really cool, like a dirt bike. But then you happen to be in the store and you go by the Lego aisle and you've already saved up $100 to buy this dirt bike that's going to cost, say, maybe like there's a used dirt bike and you're going to buy it for like $700 from, your friend's family. So you're working, you already have 100 of that $700 saved up. But then you go by the Lego aisle. Oh my gosh, there's so many amazing Legos. And you go, I just want them. I'm just going to buy some. And you spend your $100 buying some Legos. Well, Legos are awesome. I mean, Legos are awesome. I'll be the first to admit that. But you might in a few weeks be kind of not so happy with yourself because you had a plan and you still really want that dirt bike, but now you're back to $0 saved up. So that feeling of suddenly wanting to spend your money on something is an impulse. It's that sudden feeling saying, buy it, spend your money. And some advice that I've heard for that I think is important is to delay that decision a little bit. If you suddenly have the feeling to buy something, don't buy it that day. Just decide that you're going to wait a day or a week and see if you still feel that way a day or a week in the future. Because let's say you're saving up for something big that you want to get, and then you see all these awesome Legos and you go, okay, I'm going to wait a few days. And if I still think it's a really good idea, then I'll buy the Legos. And you go home and you go back to, your normal life. And maybe a few days in the future, you're like, no, I really want to keep on saving up for that dirt bike. I'm glad I didn't spend my money on the Legos. Or you can change your mind. You might go, you might say, you know what? I changed my mind. I really do want to buy Legos instead of a dirt bike. Well, at that point, it's over to you. It's your decision. It's your money. But by giving yourself a few days to kind of think about it and decide if that's really how you want to spend your money, you can avoid wasting your money on things you don't really want to spend it on. Lots of stores are really good, and this goes for like websites and stuff too. They're really, really good at making you spend your money. They're really good at making you feel like you need to spend it right now. Stores and websites will often say like, giant sale, 50% off, buy right now. And you go, if I don't buy it right now, I'll have to spend more money on it later. I'm really saving money by spending my money right now. Well, you're not really saving your money if you spend it on something you wouldn't have bought if it wasn't on sale. Does that make sense? It's kind of like stores can make you feel like you need to spend money on something to get it now while it's cheap, when normally you wouldn't have bought that thing at all. Stores and websites are also good at making something seem really appealing. Like you're like, oh, I really want this. Where if you take a step back and you think about it, you're like, I don't actually need that. Or they might be able to make you, you already have something and it's perfectly good. It works. stores and websites are good at making you think, man, I probably need a new one. There's people, it's their whole job to make you feel not as good about what you already have and to want to get more and better versions of it. For example, your skateboard is working great. Maybe it's a little bit dinged up, but it's an awesome skateboard. It really works well. And then you're walking by the skateboard store in your town, or you see, an ad in a skateboarding magazine, and they're so good at making this new skateboard look really awesome. And you think, I should probably get a new one. You have to take that step back. You have to wait a couple days and, ask yourself, do I actually really need a new one? Or do I just feel like spending my money on something? It can get those people that sell that stuff, they can get really tricky about it. They can get really good at convincing you to spend your money when you don't need to. Okay, good. So we have a few minutes left. The last subject I wanted to talk about is borrowing money. In general, we want to avoid borrowing money. Because at your age, being young people, borrowing money usually comes in the form of asking for money from your friends. I work at a school, so I've seen it 100 times. We have a snack bar in the rec room at our school, and somebody doesn't have any money, so they ask one of their friends, hey, just loan me, $5. I'll pay it back. In that moment, they have the impulse to get something, but they don't have any money, so they try to ask their friends to give them some money. That can lead to the situation where, you owe that person money now. You still don't have any money, and in addition to that, you also owe money to somebody else. Borrowing money from friends or your siblings, brothers and sisters, and having to pay it back can make friends and family annoyed with you because you don't have any money. You ask for it from other people, and sometimes because they're nice, they give it to you, but then they want to know what's the plan? When are you going to get me my money back? And if you don't have a plan, you start to feel annoyed with each other. It can make your friends and family unhappy with you. You're unhappy with them because you feel bad. It's not a great situation. So the advice is try to avoid borrowing from other people altogether if you can help it. If you want something and you don't have the money to buy it, don't ask your friends or your brothers or sisters or whoever to give you money to buy it. Kind of look back over the other steps we've just been talking about. If you want something badly enough, you'll earn the money and you'll maybe save up the money and make a plan to buy it for yourself. Now, with that said, sometimes for very big purchases, like as an adult, like you're going to buy a house, for example, not very many people just have enough cash that they can go buy something giant like a house. So there's some situations, especially as an adult, where everybody agrees that borrowing some money is usually the normal way to buy some big purchases. But for you as young people, you should try to avoid getting into the habit of borrowing money for normal everyday things. Buying some candy at the store, buying Legos or a toy that you see or a new video game. Telling even your parents hey, buy this video game for me and I'll pay you back. It's not as good of a plan as earning the money, having the money, and then buying it. Then once you've spent the money, you don't owe anything to anybody. You earn the money, it's yours, you can spend it on what you want. And once you've bought it, you feel good. You don't feel guilty. You don't have any attention on being I still owe them that money. I still have to figure out how to pay them back. It's better to get the money first and then spend it than to borrow the money from other people and then have to find the money to pay them back. Ron Beer says, I have a friend who owes a bunch of people money because he asked for snacks during lunch in school. Yeah, Ron Beer, I'm going to guess that people feel annoyed with that friend, and that friend is not being as nice to everybody else because he probably doesn't feel great about owing money to so many people. Kayla says, can my parents borrow money from me? I think that's between you and your parents. That's something that you guys can figure out between yourselves. Sometimes people do make agreements on loaning each other money. And yeah, that's something you guys could talk about or work out. Matthew says, well, what if you use it for a stock for a little bit? Matthew, are you talking about borrowing money and then buying stocks with it? I would tell you, I don't think that that's a great situation to get into, because something that can happen with stocks is when you buy them, they could go up in value, but they could also go down. So if you borrow money and then buy, you invest it or buy stock with it, and then the value of that goes down, it's kind of like your money is disappearing a little bit, and you're still going to owe that money to wherever you borrowed it from. So it's a much better idea to earn money and then spend it, because then even if you buy some stock and the value goes down, well, it's your money and you may have less of it now, but you don't owe that money to anybody else. And Taryn asks, can you uninvest? Well, when you invest money and you buy part of a company, yes, you can always sell it again. It's just the price that other people are willing to buy it back from you might have gone up and it might have gone down. Again, that's a whole nother subject, and you should do your research on that. But it's it's investing money. It's a little bit of a game, because the price you spend to buy something, it could cost more when you sell it and then you make money, or it could cost less when you sell it and you lose a little bit of money. But yeah, investing is a pretty interesting topic. All right, I think that's all the time we have for today. Thank you guys for being here and asking great questions about finances. I hope that this information was useful to you. If we're lucky, I hope all of you will go out and start making money and making awesome plans for your money and saving it up, and that all of you are doing great in your personal finances. So you're very welcome, Eric. Oh, awesome. I'm glad you learned a lot today. That's really great. Vivian's going to go make a slideshow for your parents. That is so great. If you guys, hey, if you go make a presentation for your parents and you work out a plan and they say yes, and they start paying you to do jobs, please email me and tell me about it, because that would be awesome. I would love to hear that you worked out a plan and your parents are now, you have a plan, you have a program to make some money and spend that money on something awesome, or save it up for some really awesome goal. That would be incredible. All right. Bye, everybody. You're very welcome. To those saying thank you, you're very welcome. I will see all of you on Monday. Monday, we'll be back for more classes. This afternoon is video game coding with Dylan. Yeah. Thanks for being here, guys. Bye, everybody.